Smallpox gave a lot of energy to WHO and other groups because for the first time it showed it was really possible to get the entire world to attack the problem.
The coalitions built during the smallpox campaign were essential to the eradication of smallpox. It was an unprecedented accomplishment that demonstrated the benefits of collaboration at every level. The success of smallpox eradication brought a new sense of optimism to global health, and the world seemed ready to take on a new challenge. One of the leaders of smallpox eradication was Dr. Bill Foege, who has devoted his life's work to public health. He served as director of the Center for Disease Control under Presidents Carter and Reagan. After serving 6 years as the head of the CDC, Dr. Foege co-founded the Task Force for Child Survival, now the Task Force for Global Health, and joined the Carter Center as its first executive director. In 2012, President Barack Obama awarded Dr. Foege the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor for his work to eradicate smallpox. Hello, Dr. Foege.
Thank you, Zainab, and great to see you again.
So what was next following this victory around smallpox?
Smallpox gave a lot of energy to WHO and other groups because for the first time it showed it was really possible to get the entire world to attack the problem. In 1978, WHO had a meeting in the Soviet Union in Alma-Ata, but here was the problem. While everyone wanted to do immunization for children, the approach was different. The director of UNICEF, Jim Grant, and the director of WHO, Houghton Mahler, the two came to me and they said something very interesting. We both have such big egos, we sometimes have trouble getting along. And there's no wonder that our organizations sometimes have trouble getting along. And we go into countries and we give different mandates on how to proceed with a program. If we have at this meeting an agreement to have a task force outside of WHO and UNICEF, would you be willing to head it up? And that was the outcome. There was a task force formed. We would meet every 3 months, figure out what's working, what's not working, what are the barriers that have to be overcome. And we went from March of 1983 from 20% coverage of immunization to September 30th, 1990, Summit for Children at the UN, and Jim Grant got up and said, 80% of children in the world have now received at least one vaccine. It's the greatest peacetime effort the world has ever seen.
But that coalition and the task force didn't end there. The lessons led to another amazing coalition, the Mectizan donation program at the Task Force for Global Health. Tell us about river blindness. It's a major parasite, right?
There was a fly, like a horsefly, that bred in fast-moving water. They would bite people and inject a larval form of a parasite called Onchocerca. The female Onchocerca would develop a nodule under the skin and begin to produce offspring. These offspring were called microfilaria. They would migrate through the body. In the skin, they would cause great itching. But as these microfilaria went across the eye, they caused blindness. But there was hope on the horizon that they didn't even know about. The Merck Drug Company got a soil sample from a golf course in Japan, and they isolated something that they called ivermectin. Ivermectin turned out to be a good drug for heartworm in dogs. But then a man by the name of Bill Campbell at Merck began wondering, could this help humans with onchocerciasis? And sure enough, he found that this drug protected people against blindness. What it evidently did was to paralyze the ovary of the adult female Onchocerca. Roy Vagelos, the CEO for Merck, he went to WHO and he offered the drug free if they would figure out a way to distribute it. They couldn't do it. He then went to USAID and made the same offer, and they turned him down. And he comes to the Task Force for Child Survival in Atlanta because he knew we had worked in Africa. And I said, we can try, but there are two things that worry me. Number one, are there side effects that we will not see until we get up to 100,000 or 1 million or 10 million people? Side effects that may be so serious that it stops the program. And number two, how do you get people to take this if the result with the reduction in blindness will not be seen for 20 years or 30 years? Well, both problems were solved beyond our expectation. Number one, the drug turned out to be one of the safest drugs that we've ever seen. Number two, some people, the day after they got their first ivermectin, called Mectizan for the human use, the day after they got that, they had their first itch-free day ever. And suddenly, they become the marketeers. You don't have to do much to convince others. We had set an objective to try to reach 6 million people in 6 years. We did it in 4 years. And then it just increased faster and faster. I went back to Africa for the 150 millionth treatment with Mectizan. And the Merck Drug Company had given every one of those treatments free. These people working at Merck had never seen people with onchocerciasis before, and now they knew the importance of what they were doing. And the people in the village now understood these drugs didn't come by magic. They were people behind them. What a coalition. Here, this coalition goes from the volunteer in the village all the way up to the CEO of the Merck Drug Company. And it goes all the way up to an ex-president of the United States. What a coalition.
The Mectizan donation program, ignited by the leadership of the for-profit pharmaceutical company Merck, was truly transformative. It is commemorated by this statue at the Carter Presidential Library in Atlanta. Merck's leadership sparked the formation of other drug donation programs to fight neglected tropical diseases. There is magic when you get people together to focus on solving a problem that affects millions. Gandhi once said that people often become what they believe themselves to be. And so, if you believe you are putting together a global coalition, that just might happen.